Welcome. You are looking live at another episode of Examining the Evidence in the case of JonBenet Ramsey. Today's episode will cover the mysterious photo that came from the Ramseys' own camera. Understanding the circumstances of this photo is paramount to the comprehension of the crime scene, the timeline, the comings and goings, and the movement of the people inside the Ramsey home during the mourning or kidnapping phase on the day after Christmas in 1996. We've already established in earlier episodes that the staging in this case is polythematic and diverse. In addition to the items staged at the crime scene, there is linguistic and written staging. Crime scene alteration, which is different than staging, also seems to have taken place. Keep this in mind as we move forward. Typically, the time in between when an offender commits a crime and leaves the scene to when an investigator arrives, boots on the ground at the scene of the crime, may be hours, sometimes days, or even longer after the crime has occurred. So, even though JonBenet was already deceased when the police arrived at 5:52 a.m., we are privy to an extremely rare and unique vantage into an active kidnapping investigation for more than 7 hours as it happened in real time. We have access to a crime scene unfolding thanks to the first-hand police reports, interviews, and historical accounts from the others present at the scene, the crime scene photos, which we're about to shuffle through, also from the many books written and documentaries made about this case. Essentially, we get an up-close POV into the actions and behaviors of not only the Ramsey family, but also the police, the Whites, and the Fernies, the pastor and the victim advocates, who witnessed everything as it happened inside the Ramsey home on that day after Christmas in 1996. And so, let's go back then, all the way back to that day after Christmas. And let's go inside to 755 15th Street. It's 5:52 a.m. and Patsy is on the phone with 911. And John Ramsey is in his underwear right here in this spot, reading the ransom note, which is spread out in the southern half of the wooden floor hallway. This hallway starts at the south patio door at the rear or south side of the Ramsey home and ends with the spiral staircase that leads to JonBenet's room on the second floor. Crime scene investigators, Officer Barry Weiss and Sue Barklow, arrive at the Ramsey home just before 7 a.m. Officer Weiss was the man behind the camera, so let's follow his path real quick to get a feel for the scene as he brings us to the area of the house we are microscoping today. Weiss climbed the staircase and started snapping these photos in the room of the missing 6-year-old girl. The first 27 crime scene photos were taken inside JonBenet's room. Weiss stepped outside her door and snapped this photo, number 28, of an ironing board set up in the laundry area just outside her room. He then made his way to John Andrews' room where he took these photos before heading to the children's playroom on the second floor, where he snapped this photo, number 36. Next was Melinda's room, or JonBenet's so-called pageant room, where he took photo number 39. He then made his way to Burke's room and shot 4 photos, including this one, number 42. He then climbed up another staircase which led to the Ramseys' master bedroom on the 3rd floor. He took this photo, number 47, and after a few more, Weiss came back down and took this photo, number 51, at the top of the spiral staircase. He then walked down the 13 steps and marched the length of the hallway to the south patio door. He did an about face and snapped this photo, crime scene photo, number 52. A simple, straightforward shot of a half-lit hallway with a not yet famous spiral staircase in the backdrop. No warning yet of the soon-to-be abyss of chaos, clutter, and contamination that would soon compromise the crime scene. The estimated time of this photo is circa 8 a.m., give or take a few minutes on either side. Now frame this photo in your mind for a moment and keep it there until I show you the next photo. Is this the same photo from a slightly different vantage, or is it different? What do you see? If you look here at the green xoxo glass table, you can see a notepad has been added to the table. But this isn't just any notepad the Ramseys had lying around their house. This is the actual notepad or legal pad the Ramsey ransom note was written on. The same notepad that had Patsy's doodles and whatnot written on the first 4 pages, with the practice note still attached inside. This photo, 17.7, looks like it was shot from nearly the same vantage point as crime scene photo 52. However, it's not even an actual crime scene photo. So how does this photo even exist? To start, the photo came from John Ramsey's own camera. On the morning of the 26th, after both John and Patsy expressed their suspicions about their housekeeper to Detective Linda Arndt, Arndt asked John if he had any photos of her in the house. Ramsey told Arndt he had film in his camera from the Christmas party on the 23rd that would likely have Hoffman Pugh on it. Arndt asked John for the film in his camera, and Ramsey ejected the film and personally gave it to the detective, who immediately handed it to CSI Weiss and told him to get it developed ASAP. And this is what the police found on the roll of film. Photos, some of which you know quite well, from Christmas morning in the Ramsey home. But it also had this photo labeled 17.7 by the police. In the 1998 interviews, John was questioned about the mysterious photo that came from his own roll of film. John told investigators that it's remotely possible, I think, and I don't remember doing this, but I can remember just clicking the camera trying to see if it worked. He goes on to say he may have taken the photo while burning up the film in his camera after Linda Arndt asked him for the film. Digging further into the police reports, we can determine that CSI Weiss left the crime scene to get the film developed circa 9 a.m. When Detective Bob Whitson arrived on the scene at 9:15 a.m., Weiss had already left the house to go get the film developed. The investigators who questioned Patsy and John about this photo were rightly confused about the notepad on the glass table, and believed that the photo was taken before the murder because it was on the same roll of film as the Ramsey Christmas party, along with the photos of the Ramsey family on Christmas morning. However, I noticed 2 distinct clues that prove the photo was taken after crime scene photo 52. When we go back to the crime scene, you can see this plastic bag back here in front of the white post of the spiral staircase, along with a basket and bowl of some sort in front of the decorative reindeer in the back. However, when we switch back to 17.7, in addition to the notepad, look back at the staircase again. The same plastic bag with the clothes inside has moved back behind the staircase post, along with the other items. And if you look closely at the white staircase post between the 4th and 5th steps, you can see something that looks like black smudges on the post. The smudges are not there in crime scene photo 52. However, in 17.7, they are. These smudges are actually fingerprint powder residue left by CSI Barklow while she was processing the scene. Apparently, she moved the bag and the other items behind the post as she made her way up the spiral staircase. This proves that 17.7 was taken after crime scene photo 52. Furthermore, From the police reports and other data collected, we can say that 17.7 was snapped about 45 minutes to an hour after crime scene photo 52. So, someone from inside the house between 8 and 9 a.m. placed the ransom notepad onto the glass table in the wooden floor hallway. But who? We also know that Patsy Ramsey, who was in the sunroom during this time, along with most everyone else, made an intriguing statement to her friend Barb Fernie that the note was written on the same kind of paper she had in her kitchen. Also, when John Ramsey was asked by Detective Whitson sometime around 9:30 a.m. for handwriting samples from himself and Patsy, Ramsey walked straight to the glass table and handed over the notepad to the police. He identified it as Patsy's and handed another notepad over that he claimed was his. So the question that remains is, who had the notepad in their hands moving it around from one place to another? Who was allowed movement in this area of the house during this time? And why would they place it on the glass table? Like Lou Smith said about this photo, isn't it kind of coincidental to have a picture like this? If there's one thing that I've learned as an investigator, it's there really is no such thing as a coincidence at a crime scene. What do you think? Are you watching closely?